Good morning, it's Hazel Jarvis, it's Art Online, and today we're going to be painting a festive holiday wreath. We're going to base our wreath on the pomegranate because pomegranates are widely available and in many cultures they're symbols of good fortune and prosperity. So I've cut my paper into a rough square about 11 by 11 inches, and I'm going to do it larger than the finished piece because I know I'm going to want to shrink it down when I reproduce it. Got my reference drawing to hand, and I'm going to lightly draw on the paper. So I mark out where my 7 pomegranates are going to go, and obviously I've pressed darker so that you can see. So I have the drawing. I'm going to start filling in with some leaves. So the leaves are a nice simple shape. Basically you draw in the midrib and then you draw around. And I want some leaves that are going to come over the pomegranate and some leaves that will come behind the pomegranate. And I'm going to draw in my leaves in a sort of a anti-clockwise direction. And I just keep going round the wreath, some behind and some over. So annoyingly, these little crowns at the top have been trimmed, but we've got them in our reference picture, so I'm going to put them in. I'm just drawing in that lovely crown shape. And once you have this nice crown shape in, you can start to fill in the interior of the fruit. As with my sketch, I'm going to leave a couple of my pomegranates whole, and a couple I'm going to show the interior and the seeds. So I'm just going to draw in, and basically the interior divides into 2 parts, and then you've got this lovely pattern of seeds. Sometimes in the wild the pomegranate splits open, so that's what I'm going to show here. So here is your completed drawing, and don't worry if you don't have enough leaves in because you can always add a few in later, but just check that you have some leaves going over the pomegranate. You want to lighten your pencil line at this stage. Where you've got a leaf crossing the pomegranate, just be sure that you take out as much of that graphite as you possibly can. As with my little practice sketch, I'm going to be varying the greens and putting in some yellow and some yellow ochre into my basic green. With a project like this, I always like to start with something that's not too important, so I'm going to do a leaf to begin with. And then I take some clean water and I just pull that colour down. And often I'll dot in a tiny bit of another colour just to make it more interesting. So just vary your greens and keep painting around the wreath. Now I know that I'm going to go round with my micron pen at the end, just because I want a nice sharp edge for reproduction, so I don't feel I have to be too precise painting these leaves. So I have most of my leaves in now. I'll probably want to add more, but now seems a good time to take a quick break and then come back and paint in the pomegranates. So now we're ready to paint in our first pomegranate, and I'm using pink 32 and a little bit of the alizarin crimson number 36. And as I say, I know that I'm going to go back in with the black micron pen, so I don't have to be too careful about the outline. We have a beautiful pink pomegranate, and we go on to the next one using the same color combination. So I'm going round the rind or the skin. And now I'm going to paint in that lovely little decorative crown. Just going round, painting in the pomegranates. A nice light touch and leaving some white too. Here goes the crown. So your pomegranates are still a bit wet at this stage, so you might want to take a break to avoid smudging them, and then we'll start on the seeds. I want my seeds to be nice and dark and jewel-like, so I mix my alizarin crimson 36 with a touch of indigo 67, so I get a really nice dark juicy colour. And I'm just painting them in, and I'm leaving a tiny bit of white for highlight so that they have a sparkle. And where the pomegranate is split open, I'm going to paint in more seeds. The seeds have gone in, and now we just wait for some finishing touches. So I'm going to take a little bit more of that indigo and alizarin crimson mix and put a little bit of dark, very dark, on one side of the pomegranate to make it seem more three-dimensional. And I'm going to do that on the far side of each pomegranate. So a little bit of dark on the tip of the crown and a little bit of dark in one area down here. Maybe just a little on the other side. I'm going to put some stems in and link up the leaves. Now I feel like I want one or two more leaves just to make the whole thing a little bit fuller. So I'm going to paint those in now. And I'm going to do them pretty pale and pretty loose. So I've tucked in many more leaves to give a much fuller image, and it's very loose because I know that I'm going to want to add the micron pen. So just do a quick scribble to make sure your pen is working. And do not on any account go around anything that might still be wet, because that'll gum up the nib of your pen and it won't work. But if your leaf is dry, you can start to go around it. And I'm not sticking too rigidly to the outline. As I say, I like a nice loose look for this particular image. So just keep working around the page. You can turn your page as you go, avoiding any area that might still be wet. If you think you've got a gap, you can always throw in a lovely seed, just a loose seed somewhere. Just like this. And if you do one, you should probably do another in a couple of other places. So I really hope you enjoyed this project, and I can't wait to see what you do.